Hello, and welcome to the summer edition of Uncommon Sense, a podcast presented by the CPA Education Foundation's Heshe CPA Knowledge Center. This podcast features conversations with Alberta CPAs sharing their insights on a wide range of timely topics. We're currently taking a break while we prepare for Season 2 of Uncommon Sense, coming later this summer. In the meantime, we've dusted off and reposted some of our episodes from the past year, as well as from our predecessor podcast, Straight from the CPA's Mouth. These episodes are as relevant today as when they were first recorded. So, if you missed them the first time around or just want to enjoy them again, now is the time to have a listen. And remember, we'll be back soon with Season 2 of Uncommon Sense, with new episodes featuring more uncommonly interesting guests and topics.
I'm Chris Pilger, your host for this episode, and our guest today is Chartered Professional Accountant and Community Volunteer Tetyana Litot. Tetyana received her CPA designation earlier this year, and her journey to earning her designation has been a remarkable one. Born in Ukraine, Tetyana moved with her family to the USA when she was 18. About a decade later, she relocated to Edmonton, where her work to earn her designation began. But Tetyana isn't only a CPA. She's also a dedicated mother, an active volunteer, and a resource for newcomers to Edmonton from Ukraine. Her story reflects the experiences of many women who immigrate to Canada. It's a story of both opportunity and obstacle, and she has joined us here today to tell us more about that story. Welcome, Tetyana.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. Feel honored and humbled at the same time, and thank you for your kind words.
That's great. We're really glad to have you. And first off, congratulations on officially receiving your Chartered Professional Accountant designation recently. How does it feel to finally be able to put those letters CPA after your name?
Yeah. If you're ever watched Oscars, that's how I feel like. I feel like a very famous actress, getting that Oscar, walking on the red carpet. That's what it feels like. It's kind of like you can smear those three letters all the time with like tears of joy and pain at the same time. I think I'm crying right now.
It certainly is an accomplishment. Why was it important to you to earn that designation?
Have you ever seen, I pretty much everybody knows about this book, The Giving Tree. My kids brought it from school a couple of years ago. It's in a library in elementary school. And such an amazing, well-illustrated short story about a tree that keeps giving. And that's what mom, a woman, being, an employee, having some kind of career feels like. You're constantly giving. You're there to care for others. You're there to be somebody else's support. And what can you give from an empty bucket? And that's what it felt like for me at some point in my life. And selfishly to say, I guess I did CPA designation for me at a first and foremost. It gave me confidence as a woman. I became a better mother of it. It's not the designation itself. It's the journey to get that designation. It took 7 long years for me. For some, I'm sure it takes much shorter. But it was a very painful and rewarding journey that I'm very thankful for.
That's great. Yeah, it's that perseverance is something that I think really threads through most people's experience of the designation, regardless of how long it takes, but also plays into your family and the rest of your story. You've had a remarkable life story so far and really shows that perseverance and dedication. As a teenager, you moved with your family from Ukraine to Chicago to begin a new life. Was that a difficult move for you, or did you see it more as an exciting adventure?
Well, first time I came to U.S. when I was about 15 on my own. I won Future Leaders Exchange Program when I was 15. And I spent a year in U.S. with a host family. And it opened my eyes to how diverse and beautiful the world is. We immigrated a couple of years later. So as a teenager, you see everything colorfully. And migrating was an adventure until you get hit with the reality. Job, school, friends, and you just have to start living. And immigration, voluntary or not, is very hard. Everything is a barrier. You have a lack of information. You have no friends. Language is a huge barrier. My parents couldn't give advice. They had themselves a social, cultural shock at the moment. Financial issues. I still remember my mom gave me and my sister $5, and she said, like, go wild in the store. Oh my God. We spent the whole evening in the store. We had no idea what to buy. I think we bought some kind of accessories to hair because the only thing we could afford. But you could just tell how immigrants can struggle in the beginning. And they do move from a country to a country for a better future for themselves and for their children. So I started working and studying at night and to chase that better tomorrow. In 2008, U.S. was hit with a hard recession, and my parents lost everything they worked so hard for in U.S. My dad had a small business, savings to pay his workers, house. It was a horrible, horrible, dark time again for them. And watching them come back from this dark place made me realize how resilient and strong immigrants are in general. Life goes on, we fall, we pick up, and we just carry on. And I guess that's the beauty of life. What doesn't break us, make us really stronger.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of continued that journey and moved again as a young adult, this time from Chicago to Edmonton. So what led to your decision to come to Edmonton? And again, another transition. What was that transition like for you?
I'm giggling because, all roads lead to Rome. In my case, all roads lead to Edmonton. It was my husband. I fell in love. I didn't see the cold weather. I didn't see the distance. I wasn't scared by white bears. Everybody kept scaring me with polar bears in Edmonton. Yeah. Everything was beautiful. And my husband, definitely, I'm blessed with an amazing husband and children. I did exchange those beautiful Chicago, fall for a snow in Edmonton, like I said, in September. And I'm happy. I'm very happy here. I finally found home and peace here. I have an awesome extended family here as well. So I wasn't alone ever, but it was still a very dark time for me. You start a family, you have children. Well, you have to be not social. You have to stay with the child. Then you have to come out in the world, find yourself again, find those friendships. I moved here. I thought I have education. I finished already bachelor's and master's behind me in U.S. I had an experience, a career, very well organized already, orchestrated career in Chicago. And here I come. I think I'm all that, and I'm not. You start from a blank page. Immigrants are called newcomers for a reason. Everything is new. Credit score. I was so hurt in Costco. I was trying to apply for a credit card, and they're like, nope, sorry, we're not going to give it to you. And I was like, what do you mean? I had a perfect score in States. I was that exemplary citizen. And here you go. And the biggest challenge for me was that my experience and my education was not really recognized here. I had to start from the beginning.
You mentioned to me that you began your work to earn your designation after you arrived in Edmonton, and part of that, the reason was to kind of to build yourself back up after that dark time, maybe. What was it like for you as an immigrant to take on the rigorous work required to become a CPA? And were there unique challenges you faced? You've spoken to it a little bit, but as an immigrant, could you just expand on that a bit, maybe?
Oh, I can go on and on. I don't know if I have enough time. For an immigrant, it is lack of knowledge and language barrier, definitely. Now I know that I was working part-time, couldn't work full-time as I had children. So pre-approved route was not an option for me at that time. Usually, any accounting company, they would like you to work full-time and overtime in order to earn that designation and yet get that pre-approved route. I had to go through experience verification route. If I would have known earlier that I could ask my company, my employer, to get pre-approved and then start reporting PERT, boy, I could have gotten that CPA 2 years earlier, but I haven't. I was procrastinating. I didn't know, just lack of knowledge in general. Immigrants are called newcomers for a reason, like I said, and everything was new. So I did start from the beginning. When I submitted my evaluated transcripts, I couldn't believe it. Almost all classes had to be retaken, all 10 of them. So I did have to argue back and put some hard work. In fact, Chris, I flew back to States just to get syllabus for all the classes that weren't taken, arguing, no, they are relevant and I have done them and please accept them. And I did. 3 were granted exemption out of 5, I remember. For CPA PEP, I was already admitted into the program and I'm getting a notice, well, wait a second, your audit and assurance expired. It's been more than 10 years. And I was like, what do you mean? You've already accepted me to PEP. You have to take a step back and retake that class. So there were bumps here, there on the road. Again, I started CPA PEP, and as a mom, I got pregnant a third time, the first day of my school. I was crying so much because I thought my life had just stopped. I was so close to my dream, and here I am, a mom again. I had to put it aside and actually deliver a baby, go on maternity leave one more time. I was studying. I was 3 weeks postpartum, I remember, after the surgery. So it was definitely a bumpy road for an immigrant. And also, new families face financial challenges. But when you're in a new family, just migrated with 2 kids, my older one is sick. He's chronically ill. So we are caregivers as well. Couldn't work full-time. Part-time was not financially rewarding enough. And to study, you do need a caregiver to take care of your child. I'm blessed with a great mother-in-law, but she's a saint, but she can't do everything. So I still needed to seek help elsewhere for somebody to babysit my children while I'm in school. And that was a big challenge for me as a mom.
So what were some of the things that you did to balance that role of being a mom? It's one thing to be an immigrant and the challenges that you faced, but how did you balance the mom part of your life?
You need to ask for help. That's just first and foremost. When you start this journey of becoming a CPA, you have to realize that you're not a god. You can't do everything alone, especially being a mom, caregiver, wife, or anything else. A lot of people have different roles in their life. You are not alone in this, in any journey that you have in your life, and you do need to ask for help, and that's okay to ask for help. My issue, it was always this imposter syndrome, and I would say I found recently a terminology phenomenon called mom-poster syndrome. And I can definitely relate because you do feel like you can do anything and you can be this greatest mom ever. And yes, you can shine as employee and you can do everything in the world at the same time. But no, you cannot. You're not indispensable. You're just a human. And it's okay to ask for help. So for me, my rock, my pillar is my husband. And honestly, he helped me through a very hard times. I hate him a little bit. If he's listening to this, I do, because there were times where I had a neck collar. I had some muscle spasms and I couldn't just move my neck. I did have a bucket to vomit. I'm sorry for this online, but I was pregnant at the time. And I was like 2 hours due from an assignment. And I was like, that's it. I can't take it anymore. Like, I'm just going to stop it. My husband will feel sorry for me. So he'll tell me to stop this misery. And we'll go on with our beautiful life. I'll just wake up tomorrow morning, no assignments and no pressure. And he would come into the room. He'll see me miserable, all this with the bucket and the neck collar. And he's like, no, go on, continue. You got this. I just love him and hate him for this, because these are the words of support that made me go through the program as they did. He was there for me, and these words of encouragement are important. If I can do it, honestly, anybody can do it. Now, my sister was always my psychologist. She lives in Chicago, but anytime I had an issue, she was just that mental support for me. And now she's going through a career change of pursuing her dream of becoming a nurse, and I'm that support for her. So it's just kind of like the treat that keeps on giving. I sometimes say, you can do it. And quietly I wonder, oh my God, please finish this exam. Like, I don't know if you can do it, but I really hope so.
Yeah, and sometimes you need those people on the outside who remind you that you can do it, and that can be that support, because when you're in the weeds, it feels like you can't do it, but they know you better than sometimes you know yourself. So that's a really good source of inspiration, I think, for everybody. What do you think your CPA designation will do for you in your career now that you have it and into the future?
It will definitely give me a balance of work-life that I was seeking for so long. And I see it already. I can work less, and yet I can still afford those vacations with children to give them those better memories and experiences as they grow up. And my imposter syndrome slowly fades away. So the more I learn, the more anybody, I guess, learns, the more you realize how little you know, and it's okay not to know.
Right.
And the journey of becoming a CPA, you do learn the code of conduct. And per code of conduct, it's a must. You can undertake a task only if you're experienced enough to do so, or if you have expertise to do so. And if you don't, it's okay to ask. Like, I have a permission from CPA Alberta not to answer a question if I don't know it. And it's okay to, it just takes such a pressure away from you for somebody else to say, it's all right, but you can ask for help and you will get through this. So that definitely is a big positive for me. And I am looking forward to give back more in the community. So I'm eyeing this hosting a free text clinic in the near future for newcomers. So hopefully, I just received my designation, but I've been thinking about it for a very long time. So hopefully that would be a dream to come true. So CPA designation is not a mark that I know everything, but it's just a promise to be better professionally and individually. And that's just so true for me. It makes me a better human being in general. And being a better human being makes me a better mom, a wife, employee, and list goes on.
Great. And you mentioned it there, but in addition to being a mom and working and studying, you somehow found time over the years to volunteer, and you're going to continue that in the future. But you've done so at a Ukrainian play school here in Edmonton, among other contributions. Tell us about that and why volunteering and volunteerism has been important to you.
When I was a bit in a dark place, children were very small, and they did start different activities and play schools. Giving back became kind of like this glimpse of light. You know, you do meet other people, and you do feel so good giving back. So I am a volunteer treasurer in a Ukrainian play school. I've been with them for about 8 years since my son started, but as a treasurer, probably about 7. I am on board of directors for Polish Saturday School. Again, my children are there. I'm really much involved, and I do want them to know that tradition and cultures from other countries that my parents and my husband's parents are from. And I just finished City of Edmonton Master Composter Recycler program. I just hope my mentor is not listening because I'm not done with my volunteering hours yet. I just don't know where to stick them in summer. So hopefully over winter I'll finish them. I am grateful for being in Canada, and volunteering is just an expression of my gratitude. That's how I would put it.
Great. And I know that in recent years you've offered your time and expertise to help new arrivals to Edmonton from Ukraine. People have been forced to leave their country due to the war there. Can you talk about that and what it means to you to support those who share your birthplace?
I help where I can, and I know that Ukrainian community right now especially does need a lot of help. Just yesterday, Lviv was bombed again. It's heartbreaking to see these news every other day, and just to keep texting friends and loved ones, are you okay? Are you safe? I have been involved in a Ukrainian play school. It's located in St. Matthew's Elementary School for about 8 years, like I said, and my kids are not there for the last 2 years, and I'm still there on board. There's so many newcomers. It grew exponentially, but accounting experience is really needed over there right now. Newcomers don't have that, especially right now with the Alberta grants and all this reporting that is going on. My heart is there with them because they did help me raise my children, and now I just give back all I can. If anybody's listening in Ukrainian community, please volunteer or please come and substitute me in this treasure position because it's been 8 long years. And yes, it's time to move on. We did co-host a family of 5 from Ukraine. Their son was 2 days shy of 18th birthday, so he would have been drafted to military. And I guess parents wanted a better future for him, so they did come here. It was such a joy to see him just blowing those candles for 18th birthdays at the back patio. They've been here for 2 years. Newcomers come in, like I said, involuntarily most of the time now due to the war. Not everything seems great at the moment as you come in because you've had better and you had to leave it behind forcefully. But it's a joy to see people come in, get settled, hopefully get that help that they need, and just prosper here as well.
And it's interesting that he's the same age as when you moved to Chicago. So he could really benefit from your experience. You really have walked in his shoes and know what it's like at that age, which is such a developmental age, I think a real marker. So I'm sure it's been really, you've been a great resource for him, I would think. And I understand that you recently visited Ukraine. That must have been both exciting and difficult for you, given the tragic circumstances that the country's dealing with. What was that experience like for you?
If you don't want tears, you shouldn't ask. But what eyes don't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. And it's so true. I see the news. I've been to protests. You do help out. But until you're there and you hear these constant sirens, you see all these disabled soldiers, you see these fatherless children, you don't realize what people go through when there is a war. No matter where it is in the world, it just doesn't, it doesn't have to be just a war in Ukraine. But once you're there, you realize how hard it is and how devastating this is on people and why do they actually flee and come and migrate to other countries. My village is a ghost village comparing to what I carry in my heart from childhood. So definitely heartbreaking. And I'm so happy that Canada was able to take as many refugees as it did from Ukraine and continues to help.
Yeah, and hopefully that situation gets settled and there won't be as much of a need in the future. One final question for you. Do you have any advice for new immigrants or really anybody pursuing their CPA designation that you could point to?
I would say get organized, get prepared for a long, bumpy journey, but discipline and staying organized is a key. I had a schedule with my husband because I do have 3 children and they all need my attention. I'm still a mom. Just because I'm a student, that does not take any other obligations off me. So Monday through Friday, I would go to school. In the evening, I would study. Saturdays, I would study, but Sundays, I would spend with them half a day. And my husband would take them to all the birthday parties. I've missed so many events. I see the pictures from before, and I'm not on most of them. But it's okay. I knew this from the beginning. It was part of the journey. And as long as you accept it early on that there will be things that you won't be able to do, there will be moments you won't be a part of, it is rewarding and it will pay back in time. And also, I love traveling. So you have to do something that pampers you, whether it's, doing nails, walking your dog, or for me, it was traveling. I love traveling. So for me, it was about self-pampering. It was very important to do something for you while you're studying. Studying is so intense. It's so fast-paced. You have to take those little moments for you. For me, it was as little as changing a nicer pajama or cleaning the office before I sit down to study. But most important, something to look forward to. And that was traveling. So in between the classes, we would go somewhere, Red Deer, whether it's Mexico, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm out of the house and I have something to look forward to and plan for, the studying was well worth. And summers were off. As a mother, for some, I'm sure you want to finish it as soon as possible, bam, bam, bam. For me, it was about balance. As insanely as impossible it was at the time, I still thrived for it. So summers were always off. So I would study just like children for the same schedule. Summers, they are off and I'm off because you still have to be present in a moment for others. Even for a little bit, it was still rewarding. So definitely discipline and self-pampering.
I think sometimes it's difficult when you're in the weeds to keep your eye on the outcome. So in this case, you're doing all these assignments and it can just seem like a never-ending climb.
Oh, it did.
How do you keep forefront in your mind, this is why I'm doing it and this is where the end goal leads me?
I did print myself a little CPA designation certificate. It was on my wall. It was blank, but it was helping. Sometimes when you're trying to lose weight and you print that picture of a very beautiful person on the fridge, that was kind of like that, and it did help.
That's great. That seems like a perfect place to wrap up our discussion, Tetyana. Thank you so much for being here and speaking so candidly about your journey.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a fascinating and eye-opening conversation. Thanks again.
Likewise. Have a great day, Chris.
Thanks for listening to this encore episode of Uncommon Sense. The Uncommon Sense podcast is presented by the CPA Education Foundation and funded by the Heshe CPA Knowledge Center. The Knowledge Center was created through a generous donation by the late Brian Heshe. Brian was a distinguished Albertan, business leader, CPA, educator, and community builder. His generosity and commitment to education underpinned his good works across Alberta throughout his lifetime. The opinions expressed on Uncommon Sense do not necessarily reflect the views of the CPA Education Foundation. We would like to acknowledge that CPA Education Foundation offices are situated on the traditional Treaty 6 and Treaty 7 territories and Métis Nation homeland. The Foundation acknowledges that we reside on traditional and ancestral territories of many Indigenous, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Their histories and culture influence our community to this day. The Foundation is committed to helping build a province where Indigenous people and their voices and experiences are heard, valued, respected, and celebrated. Technical and recording services for this podcast provided by Wolf Willow Studios in Edmonton. Uncommon Sense returns with new episodes in August. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends about us. If you have any comments about the podcast, write to us at cpaef@cpaalberta.ca. To learn more about the CPA Education Foundation and the Heshie CPA Knowledge Centre, visit cpaalberta.ca/foundation.